he's on the bus. And so as a result, they're not leaving the bus. And so now the police are trying to get it out of here. And you can see now cops who have batons out. Jared, look to the right. See the cops all lined up here? They're trying to form a wall to protect the bus so that they could back this bus out of here. This is 14th and 5th. This is an articulated bus. It takes a lot of skill, I imagine, for a bus driver to back one of these things up under the best of circumstances. Now you've got police trying to make sure it doesn't hit anyone, it doesn't somehow get mobbed by this mob who, according to the police, are incorrect that the guy they're looking for isn't even on the bus. So it's sort of a fog of war here among the police. You know, it does appear, at least at this intersection here, they've marshaled a fair number of resources. They keep kind of growing. But if we look in the bus, actually, you can see inside, people are sitting as if they are handcuffed.
All right, Josh.
And there are quite a few people
We're going to
seated in this bus.
interrupt you
Go ahead,
for
Liz.
one quick second because we do want to check in with Stefan Kim, who is also there in a different area. Stefan, go ahead.
Liz, so police just broke the barricade. They bum rushed the crowd, this entire crowd down Broadway. Hundreds of people went sprinting down Broadway. Heck, if you move to your right, this is the speaker system now that the NYPD is playing. They're letting people know, to your right, Hector, that if they do not disperse, they'll be arrested. This was the barricade here. This was the blue line. And as you can see, if we pan back to our left, they have moved the line of police officers from behind that barricade, came out, spilled out onto Broadway and 14th Street, and now they're pushing left. Now they're pushing forward. They're pushing the crowd. We're moving with them. We're going to stay with the police officers. That's probably the safest place that we can be right now. There are objects flying around. They're moving the barricades. You've got bottles being thrown around. They're all on top of buses. There's a bottle. Watch out. We've got stuff being sprayed here. Hector, let's move over here. They're on top of the car, but let's follow behind.
We just lost Stefan's signal, but he is watching.
They're pushing him north.
Oh, you can hear him now. Okay, and you're looking at aerial views from Newscopter 7, and Stefan is down there right now in that crowd as police move in and start to push the crowd and manipulate this crowd to kind of disperse them.
And exactly what Chief Boyce said just a few moments ago, that he was surprised that he didn't hear the, what do you mean, the
blow
loudspeakers, the blow horn.
Yeah, and Bob is still with us. Bob, like you said, they were coming in, they were going to start with the blow horn, and then they were going to start dispersing that crowd, just like you said.
Yeah, you're going to have to give direction with the bullhorn and piece off the crowd, piece by piece, different areas, and push them out of the area. You know, the batons will as a pushing device more than anything else, and the helmets will be on the police officers. So this is a process that's going to go on for a little while. You'll hear the bullhorn giving clear verbal commands. If you don't do that, you could be arrested. And so a lot of times they'll take over buses and use them as arrest vehicles. City buses, whatever they can get their hands on, put them on the bus and get them out of there. So I'm not surprised by their tactics right now.
Yeah, and you can see now as we look down from Newscopter 7, this crowd now is being sectioned off. Whereas one big massive crowd in the center of Union Park Square, it is now being sectioned off and dispersed slowly, but it has been a very difficult and touchy situation as we hear that police are now armed with pepper spray and batons. They have their helmets and gear on, whereas initially we saw officers who were not prepared to help get rid of this crowd in a fashion because it was just so large and overwhelming.
And the objective really is not to have that confrontation.
Right.
It's to get them to disperse as safely and peacefully as possible.
Yeah, can we go back to Stefan Kim? Have we reestablished our signal with him? Because he was walking with police. We have not. How about Josh Einiger? Okay. So obviously, because it's a very fluid situation down there and our live capability as our crews walk with these crowds sometimes goes in and out. We did just reestablish with Stefan. Let's go ahead and check in with him. Stefan.
Oh, Okay, so there's the first observation, several arrests happening right now. We saw 2 individuals handcuffed. They're being loaded onto this MTA bus. When you last saw us, we were extracted from there by police officers because you can tell it was getting pretty chaotic. There were bottles being thrown around everywhere. So what the officers have done is they've moved the media now. This is 14th Street. Hector, if you can pan over to Union Square, we're on the south side of 14th Street. In fact, they've asked us to give some space and distance behind this line because they may need to bring the barricades back out, they said, and who knows if this line gets pushed back, right? So they're keeping us this distance back. This is south of 14th. You're seeing the mess and the chaos now in Union Square. If I'm going to have Hector sort of pan along 14th Street, you can see this is a standstill. You've got some of these are police vehicles, but at least on Broadway there were, civilian vehicles just being climbed on top of, broken into. But this crowd is dispersing now. Still a lot of people here, but they're not in the street at this point. So at least at this stage, it looks like police officers got them off the street and have contained them into Union Square. There's probably a second move at some point they're going to make, but I guess they're going to let this thing hopefully fizzle out on its own so it's a little more controllable. Chief Manager, as I mentioned, on the corner of Broadway, if you can get a shot of that, as I mentioned, he got struck with some kind of object. I can imagine probably a water bottle or something because a ton of that was flying around. But that bus that was out there on 14th moments ago with everyone on top, that's been cleared. All those people that were climbing on top of street poles and light poles, they're now taken off of that. They've been cleared. Several arrests made. And as I mentioned, they're no longer in the street on 14th and Broadway. This is all being controlled by police officers and they're being contained in Union Square itself. But there's still a lot of people here, as I mentioned, so who knows